Why being elite is better than being an outsider. Summary. In the last 1 to 2 decades of American political life, there's been a rise in anti-establishment sentiment. The, quote, establishment, itself a term widely derided in recent years, in other words meaning institutions and bureaucracy, is associated with elitism and self-interested enrichment, with being out of touch with the everyman. The, quote, insurgent outsider is extolled as pure of motive and not yet corrupted, with unblemished virtue, and this in turn will be a boon and benefit to society and to the individual. They say, let's bring in the Washington outsider, for example, 3 years ago, Trump. Or as we've seen increasingly over the last 3 years, experts in the State Department and executive branch are fired and replaced with inexperienced and unqualified individuals. Yet, this notion of replacing elite insiders and replacing them with everyman outsiders is incredibly misguided. On the surface, this would seem obvious. Of course, being elite is better than being average by comparison. However, in the American historical mythos, elites are associated with aristocracy, with monarchy, empire, royalty, corruption, and therefore being out of touch with the needs of the populace. Elites are seen as intellectuals, and there's a strong anti-intellectual tradition in American culture for the same reason, the rebellion against monarchy and empire that catalyzed this country. There's a great book published in 1963 by Richard Hofstadter called Anti-Intellectualism in American Life. The old world, so-called, was a world of rigid class structure. The new world, a land of opportunity for everyone, where the commoner could rise or fall on merits unfettered from inherent class distinctions. In the last 1 to 2 decades of American political life, these sentiments have accelerated among Republicans, conservatives, and some populists. Such sentiments have not infected the populist, quote-unquote, left, but they could. In fact, such sentiments could infect all strata of political view. It's just at the moment that the government establishment is associated with elite. So in effect, America has a predisposition toward being anti-elite. Populism is in fashion, elites are out of fashion. One might argue that individuals and groups that have ridden this wave of anti-elite populism have been the Tea Party, Sarah Palin, and now the 45th president, Trump himself, the ultimate Washington outsider. But while this populist takeover might feel great for a year or two for some individuals, it's very bad overall for the country. And here's why. Let's start with a definition. Elite, representing the most choice or select, the best. Now let's think of some examples. If you brought your car to a mechanic to fix a problem, would you want that mechanic to be an elite mechanic or an outsider mechanic with no experience? How about you bring your car to an eye doctor next time you have an issue, and I'll bring my car to an elite mechanic, and we'll see who fares better. One of them is elite, one of them is not. How about our military? The United States has an elite military, arguably the best trained and equipped in the world. How about if your house is on fire, would you want the best, most elite fire department to put it out? Or maybe just grab some local people off the street, complete outsiders with no firefighting experience? Would you want your school civics teacher to be an elite teacher, or maybe just a random kid off the street who's never studied the subject? I could go on, but you get the point. In just about all spheres of life, elite is preferred, elite is better. Except in politics, suddenly being elite is bad. Being an outsider is good. Having no prior experience in government is now good for running the government. That is irrational. Next, the best government is that which governs best. Alexander Hamilton in the Federalist Papers number 68 wrote something to the effect of, "The best government is that which governs best." I don't recall reading from Hamilton that the best government is that which has no idea what to do or how to do it well. Is the best government an incompetent government or an elite government? Do we want the choice or select or best government, or do we want the opposite? Note the actual quote from above is from Alexander Pope. Quote, "For forms of government let fools contest. That which is best administered is best." Of course, an elite could become out of touch, engrossed with their own self-enrichment, and corrupt. I think we're all familiar with an elite real estate and marketing mogul who fits that description. Oh, I'm sorry, he's supposed to be the ultimate outsider, right? My point is, being the best at something doesn't make you out of touch. It doesn't make you a snob or corrupt. There will be corrupt elites, and there will be virtuous elites, just as there are corrupt outsiders and virtuous outsiders. Judge a person on their value, not if they are elite or outsider. The rational thing is to judge a person on their value and their virtue, to elect a governor on their ability to govern. Now we see an administration of number 45 populating itself with incompetent and unprepared outsider everyman commoners, quote unquote, for many of its cabinet picks. By selecting Trump, the voters have confused and confounded virtue with incompetence. Knowledge and competence in government does not corrupt or make one out of touch any more than a lack of knowledge does. An elite diplomat from Russia, China, or India is going to beat our commoner diplomats every time, just as their elite scientists are going to beat our commoner outsider scientists with no experience. Over time, the United States will become a common country where we shun elites and settle for unprepared outsiders instead. Now, going back to the 2016 election, Hillary Clinton was an elite candidate, but those of us, the 47% who voted against her, shunned her because she seemed cold and distant. Now we have an entertaining clown in office because he seemed fun to watch or say things that the 47% of us like to hear. And he is surrounding his administration with unprepared everymen who are average or below average in administering their posts. And so when we, the United States, start to decline in relation to other countries who promote their elites, I'm sure this will all be very entertaining. Side note, I first wrote the above in February 2017, over 3 years ago. We are now in the midst of a global pandemic. The United States at this time is arguably handling the crisis worse than other countries. That is a topic to explore in another essay, but we saw recently a top vaccine expert, Dr. Rick Bright, elite in his field, fired. Now we're seeing Dr. Anthony Fauci, one of the world's most elite experts in pandemics, the exact person we need to listen to in this time of crisis, come under sustained derision and political attack by those who deride elites or experts. This only confirms that in 3 years, the United States' predilection toward dismissing experts and elites has been sustained, if not increased. We must unconfuse ourselves in the United States between the words elite, which is being the best, and elitism. Elitism is the attitude or behavior of a person or group who regard themselves as belonging to the elite, even if they are not.